Hello and welcome to Gabriel's 3D Printing. Today we'll be looking at this dabbing Star Wars character uploaded by SaveX. First things first, we go down to developer notes, see if they have any specifications. And they say wraps don't matter if you add them or not, supports yes, resolution of 0.2 or lower, and infill yes. So after you read all that, next we're going to go up here to the download all files. And you should get a folder similar to this with only one single STL. So just click on holding the STL and drag it to your preferred slicer of choice and give it a few seconds to render in. Once it's finished rendering, you should see this little stormtrooper dabbing. So we'll take this step by step and first go to profile and select a layer height. The developer said use a layer height of 0.2 millimeters or finer. Now 0.2 millimeters is more than fine, but you may have a little bit of hidden details. So if you really want this to come out near perfect and beautiful, then I suggest going to 0.16 or 0.12, but that will increase your print time by quite a bit. So up to you on what you want to do, but for me, I'm gonna stick at 0.2 millimeters. If this pops up, simply click on the discard button to erase all previous profile modifications. Infill, they said yes, basically means just keep your infill at the default value. Mine's at 20%, so keep it at whatever yours has it at already, so don't change any of that. Next, we're going to go to supports. Now, the developer said you do need supports, and you can definitely tell from all the red we see here, which are overhangs. Now, we're not going to use these supports. We're going to use something else called tree supports, which is 10 times better for miniature models like this. With regular supports, you're going to have issues with them making this little base a little more rough, and I usually don't like to use regular supports for these type of models, so we're going to use something called tree supports. Now that's going to be under experimental, but you may or may not have that already there. If you don't, we're going to hold your mouse over the experimental tab, click on this gear icon, you're going to search up tree supports, and then you're going to make sure this is checked. And once that's checked, you're going to hit close, and now you're going to enable it by clicking on the little white box and scrolling all the way down again, and you're going to see that tree supports is enabled, and you're going to have all these settings. For tree support branch angle, I recommend you stick with an angle that is 10 degrees less than your regular supporting angle for regular supports. So if I use 60, I would maybe go down to 50 or 55. So for me, I'm going to stick at a 55-degree branch angle. For tree support branch distance, I highly recommend you go up to 3 millimeters. 1 millimeter is very small, and most printers can handle a pretty good bridging amount. So we're going to up that from whatever you have it up to 3 millimeters. And other than that, don't mess with anything else for the tree support settings. For build pit adhesion, if you take a look at the bottom of the model, there's quite a bit of contact area. But the model is pretty long though, so there might be a moment, which is force times distance, engineering stuff. So it might topple over if you have bad adhesion. For me, I have a glass bed, and I usually have, questionable adhesion, but for me it didn't topple over. So if you have bad adhesion, add a brim. You're going to click here, add a brim. But if you don't have any bad adhesion, just leave it as a skirt. You shouldn't need any. Other than that, you are more than set. All you have to do now is click on the blue slice button and give it a few seconds to slice up. Once it's finished slicing, you should be given a time estimate of roughly 3 hours and 37 minutes, but that will depend on your printer and the settings that you selected, as well as an estimated filament usage of 20 grams. And you always preview the print, take a look around the model, see if anything weird or funky is going on, and everything looks pretty normal. Now, this tree support may not look identical on your settings because tree supports are usually generated randomly, so it may look a little different, but don't be scared on that. Tree supports are tree supports. So once you're ready, save the file to your flash drive and send it over to your printer. Here's the model straight off the print bed, and as you can tell, you will have to remove supports. And in order to do that, I would recommend you get a pair of the wire cutters that probably came with your printer and try to snip off piece by piece. Here's the model once a little bit of post-processing was done and after supports were removed. Now the underside of the model will 100% have a little bit of rough edges, so I recommend you grab some 400 grit sandpaper and sand those rough spots if they matter to you. Model came out pretty good and it was a pretty quick print, so if you want this, then by all means go get yourself a Swagger Stormtrooper.